Hello, everybody. This is Nav. Welcome to another episode of Sprinkle Happiness. Well, this episode is so special to me and very deeply personal because I have Dr. Tal with me here today, my professor, my mentor, my coach, and who has had such a huge impact in my life. And I want to welcome you, Dr. Tal.
Thank you, Nev. What an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
But I thought to be an academic journey turned into a very deeply personal journey because it really changed my life. Because I learned to cultivate happiness. I learned that happiness comes from within. And that gave me control. That gave me so much control that I no longer expected other people, outside circumstances, to satisfy me and gratify me and meet my expectations. I now could choose with little minimal shifts in my daily habits that I could live a happy life. Even though things are not going my way, I can choose. So thank you for that. Really changed my life.
It's very much my pleasure. And, I got into happiness also for a similar reason when I realized that it was up to me to make that change. So this happened more than 30 years ago when I was an undergraduate studying computer science. And I found myself doing well academically and I was doing well in sports. I played squash. Today I play pickleball.
Oh, nice. I love pickleball.
I was doing, quite well socially. Everything was going well from the external perspective. But inside, something was off. And I would always say to myself, okay, when I get into this university, then I'll be happy. When I get this grade, I'll be happy. When I get this job, I'll be happy. And it was always the next thing.
Yes.
And at some point, I realized it wasn't about the next thing. It wasn't even about the external thing. It was internal. And, that's when I started to study psychology.
How did you make that shift? Like that realization, like, did you have a big aha moment? Like, did you had a dream? What exactly happened that made you make this shift?
So it was a aha moment, but an aha moment that was built on many little experiences throughout the years. So the aha moment was, it was after, getting a good grade on an exam and, really working for that and trying and feeling such relief and, so happy that it was over, that I did well. And then a few minutes later, I was back to the same stress that I experienced before. And, that was at that moment I said, okay, I'm going to my academic advisor. I went to her and I said to her, I'm leaving computer science and moving to philosophy and psychology. But it was many such experiences that led to it. Before that, it was as a squash player that I experienced it. Okay, if I just win this tournament or if I just make that team, then I'll be happy. And I was happy for sometimes it was minutes, sometimes it was days, but the lingering feeling of unhappiness was always there. And again, I realized it wasn't about the external.
Yes, I know there are so many of us that are just we are thinking that the next thing is going to make us happier, that we are chasing, we're adding accomplishments, and we want to have control, and we want to be liked, and we want to add all these things. But I think it also requires us to get rid of the things that are no longer serving us. Letting go, because some things add up just because out of habit. Sometimes we do things because people expect us to do certain things.
Yeah, so this is something which I think is even more important today. And the world is getting more complex by the minute, or I should say by the nanos. For example, the amount of information that we're exposed to today or that is put out there in general in one day is equivalent to what came out in years. Let's say 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And we're bombarded by news. I mean, think about the news. So how much news were we exposed to? Well, a few hundred years ago was maybe you would read a newspaper once a week. 100 years ago, maybe you have a daily newspaper, but you would come home and read it. And then came television, and then came the internet, and there's just too much out there.
Yes.
And our brains, from evolutionary perspective, weren't made to be exposed to so much information, and we become overwhelmed. And again, that's just the news. What about the information that we have to learn and absorb for our work, because things are
Yes.
changing so quickly? What about now AI, when the information is multiplied every second? It's really overwhelming.
Do you think it is the reason why depression is increasing? People are getting more and more miserable. Like we live in such a abundance. And historically, we have so much available to us and in resources. Everything is like one click away. And people are getting more and more depressed, especially the young adults. So, what is your recommendation? Where do we stop this trend?
Yeah. So just to reinforce what you said, Jean Twenge, she's a professor, psychology professor, did research looking at teenagers in the United States. And this unfortunately applies to teenagers all over the world. And what she showed was that, every 5 years they used to measure mental health of young adults. And every 5 years it was essentially the same. 1% up, 1% down, but essentially mental health pretty stable over the decades. Until now. When she checked now, compared to 5 years ago, depression rates went up by over 30%, and suicide rates went up by over 30%.
It's unbelievable.
Associated with that, loneliness levels went up significantly. Why is that? And when she looked at the data for the explanation, she found one thing. And in her words, the ascendance, the rise of the smartphone.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
And so, the kids that are always, glued to this, become dependent on it, are experiencing unhappiness, loneliness, depression. And the question is, what do we do? What's the
What do we do?
antidote?
Yes.
So many schools are doing it now, thanks to the work of John Hyatt and others. They are getting rid of smartphones, no phone policy in school.
How do we do it in your own family? I'm very curious.
Yeah, so in our family, first of all, it's not easy.
It's
not easy because everyone around us uses it, but we have very strict limitations. It's a lot easier if the kids' school vanishes it. But then there is the afternoon, and their kids spend hours and hours, whether it's on the phone, whether it's playing video games, whether it's, surfing and, social media. And what parents need to do is set boundaries. There's no other choice. I don't see any other choice. Yeah, there's maybe that kid, once in one kid in 100 who has maybe the discipline or doesn't care that much about the phone, and then they're able to put it aside. But most kids can't, and I don't blame them. I tell it to my kids. I say to them, look, they're very, very smart people in Silicon Valley or wherever they are, with one focus. How can they keep you there for as long as possible?
It's their one goal.
Because the currency is eyeballs. They need your eyeballs on that screen.
Yes.
And they find great ways, because every time you look at it, whether it's a news feed or a new article that's connected to an article or a short video that you watch connected to it, it's there to absorb you, to bring you in.
Yes.
And it gives you a dopamine rush every time, a spike.
It is an
every
addiction.
time
It becomes
and quite literally, it's an addiction. And then it's very difficult to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And what we need is boundaries. I'll give you, another example that doesn't just apply to kids, it applies to us. So I give a lecture on this topic, and I ask the audience, and I've done it in audiences around the world. I always get the same responses. I ask them, put your hand up if you feel like you're addicted to the phone. And just about everyone puts their hand up. And then I say, now leave your hand up if you would like to get rid of that addiction. And just about everyone, I realize it's an addiction. I realize it's not good for me. I want to get rid of it. Yeah, of course. Okay. Then I say to them, okay, put your hand down. Now I have another question. Put your hand up if you go to sleep and your phone is right next to you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just about everyone puts their hand up. And I say, now imagine if my questions were just a little bit different. And let's say they were around alcohol. And I would say to a group, and let's say you were all alcoholics, just imagine. So you would put your hand up and, yes, I'm an alcoholic, I want to get rid of it. And then the next question, would you go to sleep with a bottle of whiskey right next to you? Of course not.
So tempting.
Of course not. Yeah, but I would keep it all from me. I would, if I want to get rid of an addiction, I keep that object of addiction away from me. And yet we go to sleep with our phone right next to us.
Your phone in the other room?
Yes.
Oh, that
absolutely.
is so brilliant.
And we have a box for my birthday a few years ago. I asked my kids to get me a nice box, and they did. And I like Chinese drawing, so it has a beautiful Chinese drawing on it. And the box is outside, and we put our phone in there when we go to bed, because we don't go to sleep with a bottle of whiskey next to us if we want to get rid of alcoholism.
That's right.
Moreover, when we wake up, what do we do the first thing in the morning? If the phone is right next to us, the first thing we turn to is the phone.
Yeah.
Instead of, if there's someone next to you, turn to the person next to you. If there's no one next to you, turn inside. As opposed to starting the, doom scrolling from the morning.
Absolutely. I'm so curious what you do first thing in the morning and your morning routine. I love having a structured morning routine and not get the first thing in the morning on the phone.
Yeah. First thing I do is meditation. I start my day with around 12 minutes. It's between 10 and 12 minutes of what I call spire meditation. And then after the meditation, I do, and again, by the way, this 6 months ago was slightly different. It's around the same theme, but I do change over time. So what I do now is after that 5 minutes of a physiological sigh.
Oh, yes.
So this
Can
is,
you demonstrate how you do
yes,
that?
of course. So I learned this from Andrew Huberman.
I love him.
And he's amazing. And he did research showing that the best way to calm down in terms of breath work is a physiological. What is it like? Okay, if I'm going to demonstrate.
Yes.
So what it's about taking a deep breath in. So ideally through your nose, all the way down to your belly. Now, here is the important part. When you get to the top and you have no more space to take in air, so all the way up, you take an extra breath in. Exactly. So it looks like this. And then you breathe out.
Yes, I heard him say.
And he talks about doing it three breaths. He says already has an effect. I start my day with 5 minutes of it. It's wonderful.
Wow.
And then I go through, one of my teachers is a man by the name of Lee Albert.
Yes, I had him in yoga.
Exactly.
Fire yoga.
Exactly.
Yes.
So he has what he calls the Magnificent Seven. It's 7 movements, and I hold each postures, and I hold each posture for about 1.5 minutes, just over. So it's about 15 minutes of yoga.
Wow.
And then I do some like 5 minutes of movement, just my moving, the limbs and just shaking the body. That's my morning routine. And then I go and write.
Wow.
Yeah.
So journaling or your academic writing, no phone still?
No phones. Oh, absolutely not. Until around lunchtime. So that would be about 12:30 until I have. So one of here's another thing that really changed my work habits and practice. So this is work done by Tony Schwartz. Tony Schwartz wrote a wonderful book called The Powerful Engagement. And what he talks about there is how we get the most done when we work in sprints, in bouts of 90 minutes. So work for 90 minutes and then take a 10-minute break or a lunch break or break.
Kind of like a reset.
And then another 90 minutes. So in the morning, I have 2 90-minute sessions. And these are the times when I'm most productive. One of the things that really surprised me, so I wanted from my mid-20s or so to become a writer. So what do writers do? And I always imagine that writers probably, the write for 14 hours a day.
Mhm.
And it's true some writers write for 14 hours a day, but rarely. Usually what they do is they write for 3 to 4 hours a day, not more.
Yeah.
And also I saw it in other areas, even, business or artists or scientists.
Yes.
The bulk of their work, most of the work, the most creative and productive work, they do in, 3 to 4 hours of intensive, deep work.
Right.
What Cal Newport calls deep work a day, not more than that. So my mornings are
Yes.
dedicated to that.
Oh, that's
2 90-minute
how
sessions.
about at night?
So I'm a morning person. I wake up very early. At night, I watch a movie, or right now is the NBA playoffs,
Uh-huh.
which I'm addicted to.
Good.
Yes. So, I watch an NBA game and just hang out with family and friends. So it's no, deep cognitive work. I find it difficult to concentrate on that
Yeah.
in the
I
afternoon.
me too. I love working in the morning, and at night I just play pickleball, hang out with my cats
Yeah.
and my neighbors,
You
and
should play
I love
pickleball.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We actually checked out here in Greece. We're in Greece, by the way. You could play paddle.
Paddle, right. No
But you cannot
pickleball.
know pickleball. I'm not playing pickleball.
Like business opportunity.
Absolutely. And you have a new book coming up. I want to share with our viewers, new book coming up. You have a new project, Inspired Meditation coming. Guys, I finished the masters, did the yoga. Now we have meditation coming up next. Please share more.
Yes. So designing a 16-week program around Spire meditation, which will include 3 elements. So obviously it will include meditation and traditional meditation, different kinds of meditation. It will include the Spire model of happiness, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional well-being, and how that relates to meditation. And the third element has to do with also the word spire. Spire in Latin, the root of it is spirare, which means breath. So the third element of that program, of the Spire meditation program, will be breath work. Whether it's the physiological sigh or whether it's other relaxing or energizing
Yes.
forms of breath. Because, there is so much research and work on breathing in terms of energizing us, relaxing us, healing, whether it's physiological healing, whether it's psychological healing. And in that Spire meditation course, I want to explore the world of breath work, the world of happiness, and of course, the world of meditation.
Do you do different kinds of breath work during your meditation?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. When I meditate regularly, I do, what I call the SEND technique. What's the SEND? S stands for slow. E stands for easy. So it's not, it's just,
Yes.
breathe easily, slowly and easily. N stands for nose, nostril, nose breathing. Shut my mouth and breathe through the nose. And the D stands for diaphragmatic breathing, exactly, or deep.
Yes.
So it's all the way down. So this is the technique that I talk about, which again, meditators have taught for thousands of years. I didn't invent anything new here. When I do the yoga, I usually do the coherent breathing. Coherent breathing means the same number of seconds in and the same number of seconds out, and that balances the nervous system. And then the physiological sign that I mentioned already.
That is so fabulous, so exciting. How about we? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but the thing is, though, that as I said, it changes. Because as you know from our program, I'm a big fan of research.
Yes, I love.
And I talk about it and I practice it and I introduce it and I know that it works. That's why they do research, to show that it works. At the same time, I focus as much on research, which means experimenting, trying different things. And not only do I enjoy it, but I also it also contributes to my teaching.
Yes, that's what I really love about Dr. Tal's teaching because you're really bringing us the best. You do the research. You don't have to go gather what works. You taught us what works. You're teaching us what works. You're giving us the best tools. So thank you for that. So
Thank you.
when is it gonna be out? When can we start?
I don't know. So I'm hoping within probably 3 months or so, but it could be a year. See, I really enjoy going down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
When, something excites me and interesting, then I will go and study it because my number one strength and passion is the love of learning.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Yes, that's my number one human need. Yeah. And any new book coming up? I think there's something that's you're working on right now.
yeah, so the book that just came out has to do with what I call MVIs.
Mm-hmm.
And MVIs stands for minimum viable interventions. And these are the small changes that we can introduce into our lives. For example, in a perfect world, everyone would meditate for an hour a day. Everyone would exercise for, 90 minutes, 6 days a week. But it's not a perfect world. And very often people say, well, I don't have time to meditate an hour a day, so I'm not going to meditate. Instead of saying, well, I can get a minimum viable intervention, an MVI, and spend 1 minute breathing, deeply focusing on the air going in and out, twice a day. And if I do it consistently, the impact of it in the long term is significant.
Yes.
Or if I don't have time to exercise 90 minutes, people tend to say, okay, well, I can't move, so I become a couch potato.
Yeah.
No. Even if you spend 3 times a day, run up and down the stairs for 45 seconds.
It counts.
It counts, it's additive, it's cumulative, and it makes a big difference. Leading a life of gratitude and appreciation, of course, it's wonderful. But even if we commit to 1 minute at night before going to bed to writing down 3 things that we're grateful for, what a difference that can make.
Went great. We all have things that went great. We are above ground. We are breathing. We have enough.
Even interventions can make a very big difference. So I wrote a book about that. And now I'm actually working on a book on philosophy. Yes. And what I call the philosophy of common sense, which stands for, common means accessible to the common person, so that it's not jargon filled, accessible to all. And the sense means it's connected to the senses, accessible and connected to the senses. And I'm building based on the works of Aristotle, Emerson, Helen Keller.
Oh my gosh.
Emily de
amazing. We have
Châtelet.
the privilege of studying those amazing minds. And it is absolutely mind-blowing sometimes when I feel people that just because I studied happiness, I'm supposed to be happy all the time. So what would you tell those people that think that we need to be happy at all time or life is not worth living?
Yeah, so there are a few barriers to happiness. Probably the greatest barrier to a happy life is the belief that to be happy, we need to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
That it's even possible to be happy all the time. And in fact, as you know, one of the things that I focus on is that the first step to happiness is allowing in unhappiness. In other words, the paradox is that when I say to myself, yeah, it's okay to be sad, it's natural to experience anger, frustration, anxiety, envy, these are all natural human emotions. And the paradox is that when I accept and embrace these emotions, in other words, give myself the permission to be human,
Absolutely.
these emotions are most likely to go away. Whereas, paradoxically, if I reject, try to push these emotions away, not accept them and embrace them, they will only intensify and grow. In the words of the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, what we resist persists.
Yes. Yes.
There's a beautiful poem there, which you know, by Rumi, called The Guest House.
Oh, it's one of my favorite poems.
Yeah,
Some
and-
people come to your life not to stay, but to sweep away what's not serving you. I
Exact,
absolutely love the
exact.
meaning of it so much, please.
And he talks about how some people come and emotions come into our life, and we need to bring them in, invite them in, come into our house
Mhm.
as guests. And when we do, they become envoys, messengers from the
Mm.
beyond. Now, I don't know if they're envoys and messengers from the beyond. It's above my pay grade
Mm.
to know that. However, what I do know is that when we accept and embrace them and treat ourselves as a guest house, as Rumi reminded us to do 1,000 years ago, we live a much more fulfilling, happy life. The first step to happiness is allowing in unhappiness.
Absolutely. That was one of my key takeaways from my studies is to be happy, you need to let in negative emotions and struggles, really challenges, struggles. It makes us stronger. It makes us more resilient. It actually adds to our happiness down the road. When we overcome it, we feel such a sense of pride. Like when we talk about the past and the past struggles that we overcome, like we do take ownership of it. I have accomplished it. I got over it, and now we share it with others to inspire them.
Yeah. And it really does strengthen us, to use an analogy, which is a perfect analogy here. If you go to the gym and all the weights are set on 0, easy,
Mhm.
you're not going to grow stronger. You're not going to grow healthier.
Mhm.
We need resistance in order to grow healthier. The exact same applies to our cognitive muscles, so to speak. If we want to be resilient, stronger, we have to go through hardships and challenges
Absolutely.
and difficulties.
And that's absolutely something that we need to teach our children that we want to make it easy on them all the time. And that's one of the biggest mistakes. I've made that mistakes for sure. The biggest mistakes that I see parents do. We want to rescue them.
Do not do for the child what the child can do for him or herself.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And that applies to, tying their shoelaces or dealing with a challenging relationship or with a teacher. If they can do it themselves, let them do it themselves. If they can't, of course, that's what parents are for, to help.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Tal, thank you so much for your generous time, for being here, for chatting with me, for all the wisdom. And I really, really look forward to many more years. And I am about to start my PhD in a couple months, and I am so excited because it is life changing, guys. If you want to be happy, invest in your education. Happiness is a skill. Yes, don't wish and hope it will fall on your lap one day. It's not going to. Take control and ownership of it. So thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Tal,
Nev,
for
for
having me.
this. And thank you for all that you do.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.